Welcome to the Speak with People podcast. My name is Jason Raitz. I'll be your host, and this podcast exists to help you improve your communication skills. Whether you communicate one-on-one, to a team, from a stage, or from behind a screen, we know that when we improve our communication skills as leaders, it exponentially changes everything. It improves our relationships, it improves our leadership skills, and it improves our business skills. So let's get ready to dive into this next episode. Well, how do I talk to a camera and come across like a normal person? Have you ever struggled with communicating online? Maybe you've got a little bit of the Ricky Bobby syndrome and you don't quite know what to do with your hands. Are there ways that I can improve as a communicator so I come across in a real and genuine way? Can I use my online communication to tell stories for my life? And can I use them for my business? Can I generate brand awareness? Can I actually generate revenue with my videos online? Well, maybe you've asked those questions. Maybe you're wondering, how do I get started? What do I need? We're going to dive into all those questions today in this episode of the Speak with People podcast. We're in our series called Online with People, how we can communicate with and connect with people online in a positive, healthy way. And it's my honor to interview my very good friend, Dennis Poulette. He is a business owner. I put him in the camp of a social media guru. I don't know if he would say that about himself, but I am deeming him a guru. He is a real estate agent. He is a licensed drone pilot. I mean, that's kind of amazing. So I'm so excited to welcome Dennis to the podcast. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. I feel like a man of many talents with that introduction.
I mean, you go through that list, you're like, okay, this is something. Are you still the drone pilot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still have the drones. I still enjoy that.
Some of your drone footage is the coolest ever. I love it. Wait, before we hop into this conversation, wondered if you could just give our listeners a little bit more of your story, where you're from, what you do, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, so as far as online stuff, it's been a crazy ride as far as all of that goes. Grew up here in Florida and just became a youth pastor, which is funny, right? Like that's a fun job whenever you think about it, and you get to hang out with kids and do a lot of things and go to camps and fun trips and things. And then, went overseas to be a missionary for a long time and then came back. And while we were over there, I really just got into, a lot of camera stuff. I just loved cameras. I loved video blogging. I loved telling stories and just recording it. And so that like really ramped up whenever my kids were born. I used to think like my kids aren't going to know who I am. They're going to think that when they see a camera that that's their dad. But those were the fun things. And then like putting together little edits and fun little videos of the kids, at least of Nathan, my oldest. Once, you have 3 kids, then it's like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But so got into all of this stuff and then, decided that we were going to move back to Florida and do this media company and use social media and use video stuff to kind of drive other businesses forward as well as our own. A lot of the stuff that I've learned has been just me trying to figure it out on my own. But yeah, so, that's what I'm doing. And now I'm in a very video-centric real estate company where the majority of our leads come from YouTube. And so we're creating videos all about lifestyle here in the Tampa Bay area and just kind of doing that and helping my clients with their video work and their social media stuff. So that's the really overview of who I am and what I'm doing right now.
I love it. So if someone went to your pages and they watched your videos, I mean, you come across so natural, like you're talking right to me through the lens. Did it start out that way in the very beginning? Were you robotic? Were you trying to figure it out? Where do I look? Walk us through that beginning of the journey.
Yeah. So my first videos, so it's really weird because some of my first videos I was speaking in Spanish. So I know for a fact that I came across very like thoughtful and like not in the good way, like you can be thoughtful and that's a good thing, or you can be thoughtful, like I'm overthinking this and I'm robotic. And that's kind of the way that I was at the beginning of those those videos. And I go back and I watch it and I'm like, hey, what I'm saying is actually pretty good, but I don't know anybody that actually watched everything that I was saying, because the way
Right.
that I was saying it was not very good.
Absolutely. What do you think are some of those early mistakes, pitfalls that people, they go, okay, hey, I think this will be good for my business. I got to start doing Facebook Lives, or I got to put together reels for TikTok because that's where everybody is. And so what do you think some of those early mistakes are that leaders make when they start the process of filming myself with my camera, my phone, whatever? What are some of those common mistakes?
Yeah, I think a lot of times the mistakes that we make are just we don't even do it. Like,
Mm,
to me, that's the biggest mistake. Most people overthink it and they think that it has to be perfect. Like right now, even like I'm over here going, I really wish that my audio was better on
mm,
this. This is a podcast, for goodness sakes, and I'm not using like the correct microphone or whatever. And so like I can say all of those things. Like I was about to answer your question with like, hey, make sure you get like the best audio you can. So like if you're live streaming and you have a microphone, then that's better. But I'm not even doing that right now. Like I've got a microphone on my camera. I don't have a microphone close to my face. But I think the biggest issue that most people struggle with is trying to get it perfect
mm,
before they actually start.
mm.
And that's what when I started off, man, I was just like, I'm just going to go for it. Like there's nothing like what I was doing on the internet. I was doing Spanish youth ministry, helpful videos about like the things that I would teach in class. I would take them home, go into my like makeshift studio that I was trying to perfect, but it was really lousy now that I look at it. And I would just talk and talk about the things. Obviously, like you can get better at it, but you got to start in order to get better.
Right.
And if you never start, then you won't get better at all. So to me, like the number one thing is just start. Like sometimes I will actually like debate, hey, I want to do a story today. Should I do the story just with my camera? Or with my phone, or should I go get another camera? And then I'm like, what the heck am I doing? It's just a 15-second story. It doesn't really matter. Like it
Right.
doesn't, we're not talking like a Super Bowl commercial here. We're talking like 5 people are going to see it anyway. So just post it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. What about to the leader who's like, you know what? I'm horrible at public speaking. I get so nervous. I look at myself on screen and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying. What's some encouragement for that leader? Because I love what you just said about, okay, just start, kind of get going, start moving forward. But what about the leader who's like talked them into themselves into such a flurry that they're like, no, I can't. The screen is too much for me.
yeah, I think you got to start small. Like do one
Mm,
little thing. Like a lot of times on my videos, I'm like, okay, I got to do a 3-minute video, when really I could probably get away with just doing one point and being like, hey, like this is what I'm going to talk about. Boom. I've actually started trying to do just like 9 lines max for like shorts or TikToks. Like I don't do much more than 9 lines. So if I'm going to write a script, I'll be like, okay, hey, what are the 9 things that I'm going to say in this? And one's going to be my hook. One's going to be, my story that I'm telling. And then one's going to be the call to action. So that's 3 already. So then I've only got like 5 or 6 other lines to say to like give, you know, more support or more beef to the content. So if you just think in those 3, 3 acts is what we do for videos, for plays.
yep.
So you got 3 acts for your reel. That's 15 seconds. You got your hook, you got your story, and then you got your call to action,
Yep.
or your conclusion. And those are the things that you're doing. So really don't overthink it, but just say, okay, hey, look, I'm going to only try to talk about one specific aspect of my business or my company.
Yeah.
If I'm an Italian restaurant, I'm going to be like, hey, who doesn't love pizza?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be like, what about chicken parm on your pizza? Would you eat that chicken parm pizza if it was right there in front of you right now? Well, guess what? We've got one tonight. Come out. Like, there you go. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all you got.
Yeah.
Like, you got the hook, you got the story, you got the come on out. That's your call to action. Boom, there you got it. Like, that's really all you got to do. So I think what happens is we overthink it and we get nervous and we think that 400 million people are going to see that video. And really they're not. So just get in the reps and do it and do it and do it and do it.
Absolutely. Okay, what about the person who they're such a perfectionist, or maybe not even a perfectionist, but even when it comes to articulating their thoughts on the fly, or, you know, as they're standing in front of the camera, they just don't know what, and they're worried. You know, I'm trying to deliberately mess up my words. So I was trying to illustrate, you know, someone who does, you know, isn't quite able to articulate on the fly. What encouragement would you give them? Do they practice? Do they write it out? What do you think of that one?
I think notes are your friend. Like, notes are your friend. A lot of stuff, especially like if you're gonna edit, you know, you can mess up and edit that out. There's a lot of things that you can do in the edit anyway, and you probably should be editing a little bit of what you're saying. Like, I don't know very many people who straight up just talk for 3 straight minutes on a YouTube video, or even for 1 whole minute on a reel where there's no cuts at all. There's always a cut. There's always something, because that's the way that our brains are trained nowadays anyway. There needs to be a cut. So if you mess up what you're saying, then that's okay, because you can just re-say it and then go to the next line and say the next line. What I've been doing lately is changing where I'm standing or the distance from the camera with my cuts. And so that kind of helps it anyway. So then you get a visual change, and it helps me out a lot, because I know I only need to know that line. I say that line, and then I reposition myself, and then I say the next line. And then I reposition myself and I say the next line. So really, I'm not like, there's no pressure to be like, okay, I've got to remember this entire like 20 word sentence, which is really, it's amazing how 20 words is hard to remember.
Right.
But so like you get your small, short, easy stuff, and then you change it up. And then in editing, you can totally just delete the cuts or delete the space in between. And then it's like, it's hit, boom, 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 boom. And you've got attention and you've delivered what you're going to say. And it actually works.
Yeah. What do you use for editing? Do you use like super fancy, you know, videographer type editor? Do you use some type of app? What's the easiest that you would point people to, especially when they're beginning?
It depends. I use Premiere, but you don't need to get that. That costs you money. You could get CapCut, which is free. And you can do that on your phone or on your computer. And if you're just trimming, like if you're just trimming the stuff and or zooming or whatever, they even have some transitions, which are cool. You can use that too. I use Descript too, but that's another one that you pay for. But I would say I would get CapCut and just, or you can do it native in most of these apps. Like if you're in Instagram, you can edit your video in Instagram or in TikTok. All of those, you know, you can use.
See, I'm new to TikTok. I'm a you know, a newbie, and so I was wondering if you could, how much editing you could do in there. So now I know.
Yeah, you can do just as much as everywhere else. You just add it. So you end up probably adding the entire, it depends, it's probably going to change, but you add the whole video, you cut it to the clip that you want, then you add the whole video again, cut it to the next clip that you want. You know, that's probably how you have to do it. But you can do all of that stuff. Or you could probably find somebody to edit you if you're like a real entrepreneur, business person who's really trying to get serious. You could probably find somebody to edit some of that stuff for you for not too expensive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. Talk to the business owner who, there's a great movie years ago called The Internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. They got internships at Google. And one of their final projects is they have to get a business to advertise on Google. And so the final scene is this, this group of interns, and they're trying to convince this business owner to, use Google because Google's this giant platform, and he was kind of pushing back on it. So what about the business owner who's like, we've sold our chicken parm pizza forever. How's videos going to help? How, making videos or me telling people about what we do, how's it actually going to build a customer base? Talk to that business owner, because I think there are still some out there that are going, it just seems too hard. I'm not going to do it. It's not that important.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably plenty of businesses who don't necessarily need to be on video. Like, I know that goes against conventional, like, current advice and wisdom, but like, if you're saturated already, why are you going to spend your time to do that? Like,
sure.
But if you want to grow and you want to scale, there might be a better way to do it other than the way that you're spending money right now. You're probably spending money on marketing no matter what. And everyone is on some form of social media, almost everyone. So I would think, okay, so what's my demographic? Who are the people I'm trying to reach? Which platforms are they on? And if I could get on those platforms. That doesn't mean you have to post every single day or 3 times a day or 17 times a day. You could post as much as you want or as little as you want. And I think that, a lot of times it's like a secondary marketing kind of a thing. So people go to your restaurant and then they're like, I wonder what's going on at that place. Or they drive by and they've already seen it. So that's touch number 1. And then they look you up on Facebook and they see that you haven't posted in 4 years. Automatically they think that you're temporarily closed or you're closed or you're not open. So there's no activity on any of those social platforms, then you're probably hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. But I don't necessarily think that everybody has to be posting every single day. So I would say, hey, why don't you find a way to start small? I said start, but start small. Maybe you do just post one video. Hey, we're open Tuesday through Thursday this week, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have chicken parm pizza. You might want to try it out. And then, you'd be surprised how many people actually love that stuff and share it. One thing that I've been thinking about a lot is like, I feel like the low-hanging fruit for a lot of businesses is the behind-the-scenes stuff. Like, how many of us actually watched, and I'm coming into your world now, how many of us actually watched The Office? They never left the office. Like, hardly. Like, almost every single thing is in that office, and all you're doing is getting the behind the scenes of a paper company. I would buy paper from Dunder Mifflin. If there was a Dunder Mifflin right now, I would buy paper from them. But not because their paper is better quality, even though it probably is. I'll ask Dwight. But like, I would buy, and you're happy because I'm finally in the office world. But I resisted for a really long time, and now we love it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't leave. We're just watching the behind the scenes. So I think, I'm trying to get some of my clients to do like just the behind the scenes stuff. Like, what you don't know is that I got like 3 cameras pointed at me right now. One that you see, and then I got the behind the scenes cameras going on too. So like, if we could use it, I feel like I love that kind of stuff. I got a tangent to get on here. I've been watching. So I got a espresso machine. Your son would love this. I got an espresso machine, and then I wanted to learn how to use it properly. So I went to YouTube University, started watching the tutorials, and the tutorials are great. But my new favorite way to learn how to make coffee using my espresso machine is by watching the point of view videos of baristas in coffee shops. I will watch a dude work at a coffee shop for like 30 minutes straight, and all he's doing is the same thing. And I'm learning, okay, this is how he knocks out this, and this is how he scoops, and this is how he measures, and then this is how he pours the milk. And like, it's mesmerizing. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, I got to get to that coffee shop one day because I want to meet the person that I'm watching the behind the scenes stuff from.
Yep.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of that we could be doing in business, and it would be very interesting.
Well, you mentioned that. We were talking offline before I pressed record about the Instagram hubs.life, hubs, HUBS.life. And it's just a regular 30-year-old guy who is saying there's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 life. Get in it and stay and just do it consistently. And his whole Instagram feed, all 670,000 followers, all his views is basically behind the scenes stuff. It's him putting his laptop in his bag. It's him opening up his beer can. It's him taking his dog for a walk. He hardly talks ever. I mean, I may have heard him talk twice, and we just saw his wife in the latest one. And people are like entrenched to it.
Yeah, it's so crazy. There's some kind of voyeurism that's in us, that we want to know how other people live, and we all think that our life is boring, and or our business is boring. But I've never worked at a restaurant. I've never been a barista of a coffee shop. I've never flown airplanes. I saw another guy, he's a pilot, and he did in the life of a pilot, and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like, okay, he's like the co-pilot. So he's the guy, he's not even flipping the switches and stuff. He's walking around and checking out the plane to make sure that it's, good to go. And that's his job. And that's what he videos. And,
for sure. Well, and that leads kind of
if you think about it, like, it's not just me making these videos because I'm obsessed with myself, but it's like, hey, I'm actually going to get attention of people who may be interested in what I offer. And so as a business owner, maybe somebody's interested in what I offer. They might get to know me, and they might be like, hey, I need a real estate agent. Why not try this guy? Because he seems like a nice guy. He seems like he's got this, he's doing this, he's doing that. I don't know, something's going to resonate. Maybe they like Pac-Man, and they see that I got Pac-Man back there, or, whatever. That might be the thing that draws business to you.
Well, and that leads to my next question, which you just set up perfectly, is you got to be you online. So often we get online and we're like, hey, everybody, I want to tell you about, my life. And all of a sudden we have a different voice. We have a different, body language. We want to try to project something that we're totally not. And especially as a business owner, if you project that whole other thing, and then they show up and they're like, oh, you're not who you say you are. I think the people who are watching the videos will unfollow you right away if they sniff that inauthenticity. How then do you just be you? How do you be your authentic, transparent self as you communicate?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think that that's hard to do, because it is hard to be yourself on camera. It's hard not to put on a persona. It's hard for me, because the other thing that you got to understand is that, like, your energy level on camera has to be up. You can't just be like, it's easy to really fall into the declining, like, okay, I'm just going to talk because I'm talking to my friend. Like me and you, like, we talk all the time. So talking to you on a podcast, I can see how our energy is probably really low on this podcast versus like whenever I'm creating a video for my businesses, right? Because I can talk to you and not have that much energy. I'm still authentic, but I think you do kind of have to ramp up your energy a little bit whenever you are talking to the camera, because the camera, maybe it does add 20 pounds, but it definitely decreases the way that the energy projects. And I don't know if that's something psychological. It might just be like the way that we're created to like actually talk to people and not talk to machines all the time. So like there is definitely a difference between interaction one-on-one or in person and on a camera. And you know this, if you do these trainings that are like online trainings, and you can just feel it. You're like, okay, I can't see everybody's eyeballs, and I can't shake their hands, and I'm talking to them, I can't hear them. I can't see them nodding their heads, whether they're sleeping or in agreement. I don't know. And
Yep.
so, but to be authentic, it means to be yourself. You do have to put on a little bit of a persona. This is a performance after all. People are going to their phones to be entertained.
Yep.
They're not going to their phones to just watch mundane nothingness.
Yep.
Although, that's what a lot of it is. But, so I think you do have to kind of like amp up a little bit, but you still got to be yourself.
Yeah.
So you still got to be like, okay, this is me on my best day. And here I am, and I'm going to talk to you as if I know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to provide value to you. But at the same time, this is me. And
Yep.
so, like, if you see me drinking a coffee, you know that I went to the Panera Bread before this place, not sponsor. I went to Panera. Yeah, I hate it when people say that on stuff. But I went to get my coffee just
Yep.
like everybody else. And I'm sitting in an office that I come to every day, just like everybody else. And we're having a chat. So if you're a business owner and you got, hey, look, this is our back room. Hey, this is our freezer. Hey, this is, the paper supply closet. Hey, this is the warehouse. Those are the things that I think, you're being authentic, but you're giving people a peek into like something that maybe they have never seen before.
Yeah. I love it. So walk us into the mentality, the emotions of, you got a video idea, you film it, you do the best you can with edits and cuts, and TikTok gives you the perfect song, and it all comes together, and you go and post it, and you're like, okay, all right, okay. And then you look an hour later and there's 7 views, and you're like, what's going on? How come, TikTok doesn't push out my, walk us through just that, the waves that happen of, how come more people aren't following me, or what can I do to make better stuff so people want to watch more?
Yeah. Number one, I think you gotta take that. Like it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, 7 views on my video. That must mean that it wasn't that great. But then you go back and you look at it and you're like, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I think maybe there's always the possibility to repost it. It might have just come at a bad time.
Yeah.
You could take it down and you can repost it and try again. You could take it down. You could put a better hook on it. You can re-edit it to be like, maybe that hook didn't work and you gotta come up with another one. Some people record multiple hooks for their content.
Yeah.
And then they kind of split test it and see which one performs better, and then they use that one. So there's ways to do that, but I think for me, most of what I do is, number one, you got to be consistent, or else you're never going to get traction at all.
Yep.
And then the second thing is, like, for some things, and it depends on if this is a business thing or if it's a personal thing. If it's a personal thing and I posted and I just loved it, I'll just keep it. I don't care. Like a lot of my video blogs and stuff like that, this is my day. This is what I did. I made this mostly so that in 20 years I can look back at it and remember how handsome I was. Those are the things that I just keep it. When I'm really trying to get views for a video, for attention or whatever, for a business idea, then I will probably evaluate it a little bit more. What time did I post it? How did the hook perform? Was it a good hook? Was it not a good hook? Did I put subtitles on it? Did I not put subtitles on it? Do I need to change something? But I'm not real good at that. Like, I kind of am just like, views to me are, they're performance indicators, but at the same time, I can't control the algorithm, and I can't really always try to figure it out. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I just move on to the next one. I have clients where I'll post something that I think is going to hit and it doesn't do well. And then I post something that I think is going to be dumb and lame, and it like takes off. And I'm just like, I have no idea why. And I spend my time trying to figure out algorithms. So I think you cannot you can't equate your self-esteem with the amount of views or subscribers that you get.
Yeah.
But you can use those as performance indicators to see what you should be doing better to create better content. And then you got to go at it again.
Right.
And then you got to go at it again. And then you got to go at it again.
Right.
So that's probably not a great answer, but that's my answer.
No, it's so good. I love that. So talk to us about content. And there seems to be two camps nowadays. Camp one is saying, tap into ChatGPT, ask it for help, get its thoughts, get ideas. The other camp is like, no, it's not as pure, stay away from it. What do you think about it?
I would say that, yeah, like I think I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say to use ChatGPT as a thinking partner. I think that's who I heard that from. So like, to me, I go, okay, hey, I'm thinking about these myths about this industry. And I write like 5 myths, hey, five myths that people believe about the real estate market.
Yep.
And I'll write mine that I think, and then I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, can you think of any other ones? Yeah. And then they come up with a bunch more. And then I find the ones that I like, and then I tweak what it gave me, because I can tell, and I think a lot of us can nowadays. Like, I got an email earlier today from somebody who was trying to ask me to do an advertisement, and I could tell that their idea was pure ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And I actually texted it to my wife. I'm like, hey, do you think this came from ChatGPT or what? This was totally AI generated, because nobody talks like that. So I would make sure that I put it in my own voice, because this goes back to that authenticity thing. But I don't think it's wrong to ask ChatGPT for the ideas. Like, maybe you're just, I mean, when you're in college and you have like a mental block and you can't think, sometimes back in my day, we had to talk to people, that were in our class. We had to actually physically go to them and talk to them. Couldn't even text. And we had to be like, okay, hey, I got to write this essay on this topic. How should I even get started? I don't even really remember. So I would go back to my notes. I would, but if you're sitting in front of a blank screen, you're never going to get there. So sometimes you need those prompts, and sometimes ChatGPT can help you. But I still think that you can't just like, hey, give me a script for this, and not tweak it at all. Because if you don't tweak it, then it's not in your voice and you're not authentic. So long way to say that I think you do both. I think it can be very robotic. Yeah. But it can also be a big help.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. The drum up ideas, just a giant, I mean, it could be a total significant leap, but it is funny though. People who don't change it at all or put it in their voice. It's like, okay. Like,
oh yeah. If you listen to a YouTube video and they say, let's dive right in, that was a ChatGPT prompt. Like, ChatGPT gave them that script and they're just reading the script.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or
so like, we're going to look at 3 reasons to improve your communication. Let's dive right in. I'm like, they're just reading ChatGPT's ideas. They're not even giving me anything.
Or when I type some stuff in, it will always say, let's delve. Let's delve. It will use some of those words that are frankly.
Let's delve into this interesting topic that applies to everyone who might possibly be listening.
The extraordinary guest. Yeah.
Yes. Picturesque. If it uses picturesque, it's probably ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That would be a fun reel. Of course I use ChatGPT.
I love it.
And then you know how they're like, we're online coaches. Of course we use ChatGPT.
I have not done that reel yet. I don't know if I could stomach it. Of course I'm a podcast host, Yeah. Whatever it is.
I'm a podcast host. Of course I use ChatGPT for all of my scripts.
I'm a podcast host.
Yeah.
Oh, those are a riot. Okay. Last question. kind of speak to the person who is ready to kind of level up. They've been doing some posts, they've got some consistency now. They've been thinking about, what are some things that I've been filming with my phone? Do I upgrade to a camera? Do I add a microphone? Are some of those things helpful? Kind of give us your thought.
Yeah, I would say audio is great. And I have been enjoying like wireless microphones because I can change the framing of my shot without moving the camera.
Oh.
So like, I know that you use wireless mics sometimes and you're holding it or whatever. So you don't have to be close to the camera to get good audio anymore, because no matter how far away you are, you've got your microphone.
Yep.
So I've been enjoying like walking 10 steps and putting my whole body in the frame and talking, and then saying the next line like right up against the camera. And so those kinds of things like that to me helps you, because then you could just put your camera on a tripod and you don't have to worry too much about being super close to it. So you can change that frame, which then it adjusts the way that people are watching and it holds attention longer. That would be one thing. And your audio will be a lot crispier.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And sound better.
I love that.
Yeah, I would think audio our cameras on our phones, my goodness, like
I know
you can't get much better than what we got. I saw your cat video yesterday and I was like, that was a great video. I was like, Jason's gone and done like a cinematography class while I was sleeping or something, and he's now got like runt with a buttery background and a foreground and all that stuff. I'm like, wow, that cat looks great.
I know.
And that's probably that's probably the video that's gonna blow up. Nobody cares about the other stuff, but that'll be the one that like 4 million views. I'm seeing it. It's gonna happen.
Not the one pouring out my heart. No, it's runt looking majestic outside.
Yeah. So so your camera is probably good enough. It's the audio that kind of you could probably upgrade first. That's what I would probably do first.
Yep.
And then from there, just maybe thinking through content ideas and things that are going to bring value to your customers. The behind the scenes stuff could be, gold. I think if people, I have a client that's a restaurant. I'm trying to get them to do behind the scenes cooking. Like the guy, I'm trying to get the cook to wear a point of view thing and have like him making all of the restaurant food.
Yeah.
I think that would be
flipping his sauces and chopping and absolutely.
Yeah, because we watch cooking shows like there's no tomorrow. So,
right. Oh, yeah. We love
market
cooking shows.
Yeah.
Love them.
So,
yeah. Okay. This was insanely helpful. I took a page full of notes. I can't wait to post all of this in the show notes. Before I let you go, though, we've been building this communication skills library. If you've never accessed it, you can go to speakwithpeople.com/skills library. But who is your favorite speaker? Every time you listen to them, you're like, how do they continue to always knock it out of the park? Who's the person you'd recommend?
The person that I listen to the most that's a speaker is probably Gary Vaynerchuk. If you can get past his language, he's fun to listen to.
He's real.
Yeah, he's authentic for sure. It kind of pains me to say that, but I've been listening to him for over a decade probably. And it's weird because like I know what he's going to say. So it's not anything different. And he's not like this great communicator. He's just entertaining and he communicates well. So
yeah, I love it.
Probably the guy that I listen to the most. When I'm listening to a podcast, it's usually a Gary Vaynerchuk podcast.
So then that's the next question. Is there a podcast or a YouTube channel that it's either guilty pleasure or, leadership development that you just keep turning to because there's just, every episode is just more and more good content, good material to help you grow and develop as a leader?
Yeah, obviously the Gary Vaynerchuk one. I listen to the Think Media podcast.
Yep.
You know, a lot of those are like old standard ones. I like watching Omar Altakori on Instagram.
Yep.
He's got a lot of good stuff as far as like video tips and tricks and that kind of stuff. But I've kind of gone away from watching a lot of that stuff, or like a lot of times now I go on YouTube and I just want to watch vlogs or just like people who are just hanging out. You know, there's this one guy, this one channel which is called Outdoor Boys, and my son Ben got me watching that. And this has nothing to do with leadership, but it's a great YouTube channel, which if you wanted to kind of like watch it with an eye on storytelling, you probably could learn some things.
Yep.
But it's this guy, he used to be a lawyer and he lives in Alaska, and now he just goes around in Alaska and like he goes camping with his kids, and sometimes he goes off on his own, but like in Alaska. So like, number one, it's picturesque. That was not a Chat GPT reference, but it's picturesque. And then the second thing is like, he's really good at telling the story like all the way through. So I like that. Those are kind of like, I watch weird stuff. I'm not like always trying to learn something whenever I'm on those channels.
I love it. And then is there a book? Is there a leadership book that you're like, oof, every person has to read this book?
So I don't have one that every person has to read necessarily, but the one that I'm listening to right now is Stories That Stick. I can't remember the author, but Stories That Stick. I think I even texted you and said, hey, you need to, if you haven't read this book, you need to read it.
Kendra Hall?
I've been listening to it. It's been good. It's got, there's one part in there that's like the 3 stories that every company needs to make or needs to tell or something like that. And it's been really good.
Ooh, I love that. And we'll post all of those. Before we let you go, where can we send people online to find out more about you?
Yeah, probably Instagram at Dr. Poulette. That's probably the best place. You can find me on Facebook and TikTok, and I'm all over the place. But
are you Dr. Poulette and everything?
I have that one on everything. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm more active on some of the other ones, but if you do at Dr. Poulette on Instagram, and if you DM me, I'll definitely get it.
Are you guys taking any social media clients right now?
Yeah, we're always looking for new clients. So
awesome.
Sure.
Well, to our listeners, I would snag up one of those spots because Dennis provides, and his company provides, such great value. Dennis, thank you so much. You are not only an amazing friend of myself, of this podcast, of Speak with People. Who knows? I may be in a gutter somewhere, if not for your friendship the last couple of years, and how encouraging, challenging. So I just really appreciate it. And I've learned so much from you. And so thanks for pouring that into our listeners as well.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Speak with People podcast. We hope that you were encouraged. We hope that you were inspired and challenged to improve your communication skills. I want to thank you again for being a part of the Speak with People podcast community. Make sure you don't miss out on being a part of the Speak with People Facebook community group. Just head to Facebook, type in Speak with People, scroll down and join our community, because every single day we're encouraging each other, we're helping each other to improve our communication skills. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.